Welcome to my Gears 5 Insane Mode tutorial. And this is going to be a combat focused tutorial only, so I'm going to pretty much edit out, all the cutscenes, anything in between, scavenging for weapons and components and things like that. So yeah, this is just going to show the Insane Mode, just the combat sections. And I'll try to explain certain things like some of the upgrades that I have and things like that. But if you look around the environments, there's videos that show where to find all components and shit like that, I'm sure. And if you look around, you'll find a lot of it. You don't need to collect every component, But it is good to try to collect whatever, you can reasonably find and take your time looking around. Because some of the abilities really can turn the fights around. I don't get the impression that this game is going to be as difficult as Gears of War 4 was on Insane when I did that solo. I think that seemed like that was quite a bit harder than this because you didn't have the abilities and shit like that. So yeah, and this is your first combat sequence, and it's really just an introduction to the stealth system. You get to stealth kill a few guys. I think I fucked it up. I think I could have stealth killed more guys, but I got spotted. It really doesn't matter though because, this is a really easy fight with only a few enemies. But yeah, I don't think this game's going to be as difficult as the fourth one. I might be wrong. I did just play through it on, the experienced mode solo, which is basically like the hardcore mode in previous games. It's probably the equivalent of that. They just renamed a lot of shit. So far, I really like the campaign after completing it. I thought it was really good because of the amount of, tactical options you have with the abilities, and there's a lot more different types of weapons on the field. You also have power weapons a lot more often in this game. Like, you can carry some of the more powerful weapons throughout, like, most of the game because there's ammo, that you can usually get. Now, you don't have to plant a grenade for this encounter right here, but this is your first encounter with more heavily armored swarm enemy. These grenadiers... they have heavy armor. They take a lot of hits. So whenever you see one of these guys with the helmet on, keep your distance so you can put a bunch of bullets in them and get them down. Because they'll shotgun you, pretty much kill you in one hit if they're within range. You can also shoot their helmet off, and then, of course, you can do more damage by headshotting them until they die. But most of the time, it's probably easier just to get some distance and shoot at them in the body. Of course, this is another, emergence hole, so, as usual, throw a grenade in there to plug it up so more enemies don't come out. And you may also be able to do some damage to that grenadier who jumps into the hole. He took some damage from that. But, of course, as is obvious, the encounters are going to vary depending on your weapon loadouts and various factors. So it's not going to be exactly the same. These are just going to be some, some tips based on how I beat the sequences. And maybe things I've seen in other videos, because I do check out Sephirim's videos and some other ones. Though when I beat these parts, I hadn't watched any tutorial videos or anything. I just played the game. I jumped right back into it after beating the experience mode. But occasionally I'll get some strategies from watching those videos, or I may beat a part first and then see a video and then be like, all right, well, I could have done it this way. So, I'll explain some other possible alternatives to what I did. But yeah, this is very easy. I recommend getting the Retro Lancer. It was available to pick up with with Jack the drone, or whatever the hell his name is in this game. I think it's Dave. But yeah, you can pick it up by sending him over to pick up the weapon. And I recommend using him a lot to pick up weapons and ammo off the field. You just aim at them and press action. You'll get him to retrieve them for you. So that can be very useful. I'm sure it's going to be very useful on this difficulty especially. But yeah, for this part, just proceed slowly and. When you see the juvies spawning, shoot them, and then as, more waves of them come, start backing up and shooting so that they can't quite get to you and you can gun them all down. You can also hit Y and use your pulse ability, which will outline them in the dark for you. So if you're having trouble seeing them, you'll see I use it and it shows me exactly where they are. So it makes it easier to shoot them in the dark. But, it's really it's not necessary. This is an easy part, but it is available if you want to, use it. There's not going to be anything in this first chapter of Act 1 that's going to be too difficult. You know, there'll be a few, you know, slightly tricky encounters, but there's really nothing that's that hard. Especially compared to earlier entries of this, you know, series. If you played them in, you know, just Gears 4, the previous game, started out way fucking harder than this game does. So, I mean, Gears 4 and Insane, it was pretty fucking hard at points. It was harder than I expected it to be on Insane. Of course, not after I beat Hardcore. After I beat Hardcore in the previous one, you know, I figured Insane was going to be tough, because there was some hard encounters even on the Hardcore mode. So this is your first main encounter with, you know, a decent amount of enemies. And for this, you can stealth kill, you know, the first guy by the waist-high cover over there. Just grab him and stealth kill him, as they've set you up to do. And then the second guy right here is very easy to get a stealth kill on. And then, you know, if you want, you can just shoot this barrel that these guys are carrying, and it'll make some other shit in the environment topple down. And I think that kills some extra guys too, so you may want to do that. You should probably plug up that emergence hole that I ignored. You know, you should probably plug that up right away so the guys can't even crawl out of it. That would have been a better, you know, better strategy to do, but I kind of missed that when I was playing, so I like using a bolt talk if you can have the bolt talk, because and always aim for headshots, because like 2 headshots will split their heads and kill them. So it's a very fast way to kill these guys if you can, you know, get a lot of headshots, which you're going to want to be able to do on this difficulty, because, you know, otherwise guys can easily swarm your position if you don't take them out quick in a lot of these parts. Yeah, and here I'm just using a bolt tack to try to take these guys out that are coming around. That just wasn't a great place to take cover, so I would have probably just... I would have been better if I stayed back at this cover that I'm in right now. You know, that would have been a better cover to stay in. But I didn't have these encounters, you know, down that well, like memorizing all the spawns and shit like that. I didn't die too much on this. I did die a few times on this part, but, you know, nothing crazy. So yeah, now you don't have too many enemies left, but they can be dangerous because there's shotgunners, the grenadiers who have like the heavier armor, you know, which they take long to kill, and they can kill you very fast at close range. They're not too dangerous from far away though, so if you keep your distance and just you know, peck at them with your weapons, you know, eventually they'll just die. Shooting them in the legs may make them go down faster, but I'm not sure. I usually just shoot them, you know, in the center mass in the chest or whatever, you know, it's an easier part to hit. I usually don't go for too many headshots on them, though it'd probably be a good idea to knock their helmet off, but I usually don't end up doing it. I may be doing it, you know, more later, though, you know, because I'm not that far in the insane mode yet, so maybe it might be important to do that later to kill them fast. But you get so many abilities later on, though, too, so there's probably a lot of bullshit I can pull with the abilities. Here I waste a few boom rounds on these guys to take them out fast. See, a boom shot doesn't even kill that guy. They take a lot of damage. That's one of the grenadiers. You do get a decent amount of boom ammo in this first chapter, so, you know, you don't have to really worry about using it too much every once in a while, because I think you can only hold like 6 shots in it anyway, so, you know, you'll end up having more ammo available than you end up using if you just try to save it. So it's worth using on some of these encounters. This is one of the harder encounters in this chapter, so, you know, if you're going to use it here. I'd save it for the last waves of enemies, like the grenadiers, and I probably wouldn't really waste it on the naked swarm enemies, because they're not really much of a threat. But I was being a little sloppy. I didn't really care, because I knew I was going to get more of it. Now for this part, stay up here and shoot these guys with one of your long-range weapons, preferably the headshots with the Botok. The reason I say stay up here, because if you jump down into that area where the enemies are, if you go down there, then another large bloated enemy is going to show up. Forgot what it's called, but it'll show up, and then you'll have to fight that with these guys. So it's just better to kill all these guys first, and then at that point drop down. Now for this part, You don't have to fight this guy at all if you don't want to. Because what's going to happen is your backup is going to come in and finish him off. So all you have to worry about doing is wasting time and staying alive. Just try to survive it. One thing you can do with the boom shot, if you time it right, is if you shoot it at his chest when his chest opens, and right as the enemies are about to spawn out of his chest, if you time it just right, you'll blow up all the enemies and there'll be no enemies in the air. But you see I fucked it up. But I did kill a few of them with that, but it is hard to time it like that. The best option is to probably use your Lancer or your Retro Lancer and just concentrate on shooting them when they're in the air, the enemies, so that you have only a few of them to dodge. Because you're basically going to want to roll to either the left or the right to dodge them. But make a gap for yourself by shooting out some of them, and then you won't get hit by too many of them. As long as they don't all hit into you, they won't kill you instantly. But you do want to clear out a few of them. I think I pressed right on the D-pad to call in the DBs with the tri-shots, which I recommend calling in because after they when they die later, when your allies get killed, your DB allies that are helping you out in the moment, when enemies kill them, they're going to drop those tri-shots, and that tri-shot turret gun is extremely powerful. One of the most powerful weapons in the game. So you can bring that to later encounters. That's one good thing about this game is you can bring power weapons pretty much throughout all the areas. So you don't, if you hold on to them, you can keep them and make encounters way easier by being overpowered to start out with. Here I just throw out all my grenades and I'm focusing on the buzzsaw enemy, the large, tall motherfucker. I don't know what his name is, but he's the tallest asshole there and he has a lot of health. So what you want to do with this guy is remember that he shoots the buzzsaws out in bursts of maybe like a few blades at a time, and then there's an empty space there where he doesn't fire. That's when you want to start popping shots at his head. And if he gets too far ahead, then shoot that barrel and do some extra damage maybe. Also, just be aware that those juvies are gonna be coming at you while you're behind cover. But that's a good place to start out with and take out that asshole first. I recommend taking him down first before dealing with the larger enemies. Not larger than him, but larger than the juvies, like regular-sized enemies, basically. If you have the tri-shot still, you can use that to try to clear out some of these guys. I ended up having better luck using my my Boltok because I was trying to shoot at them from a long range with the tri-shot, which doesn't work that well. And the reason I was at such a far range is because you die pretty fast when trying to use the tri-shot. If you're up closer, the closer you are, the more damage you take. The closer you are to an enemy, the faster they can kill you. So, with the tri-shot, the animations take very long going in and out of cover and trying to go back down again. It's a very slow animation, so it's not always the safest weapon to use. It just depends on the circumstances and if you're able to get close enough to get some good shots. But I ended up just throwing it away because it didn't have that much ammo left anyway, and I wasn't hitting anything, so it wasn't too useful for me in this area. But in some areas, bringing it will be incredibly useful. You'll be able to clear out a bunch of enemies with that shit. So there's times when you're going to want to try to bring those weapons into every encounter when you can. But yeah, now with the juvies, now you don't have unique melee attacks anymore with various weapons. Like the torque bow used to have a really powerful melee attack, but not anymore. Now you have a combat knife when you press B, and with that, the juvies take 2 hits each. So it's no longer efficient to go around running around and just punching the juvies to death 1 hit each. Now it's just better to shoot them when they come out if you can. If there's only one of them, then you may be able to get away with, stabbing it twice to get it, to kill it. But for this part, you may want to use the boom shot rounds when the enemies all group near the tall enemy with the boom shot. Because you can take out a number of them and you can damage the boom shot guy too, all at the same time. So that's a good part to use it on. But you can just stay by this door frame and pretty much pick off all the enemies. Just don't pop out when the guy is shooting the missile, obviously. And try to get as many headshots as you can on the large enemy, especially. The Boltok will definitely wear him down and take his head off eventually. But yeah, I mean, this part looks like it would be a little tricky, but it's not because you can just stay all the way back. You can also use Jack to pick up boom shot ammo and drop shots and other various weapons that are strewn about the battlefield. So, you know, you're not going to have to worry about, you don't have to really worry about running in to grab ammo and getting killed anymore like in previous games. Now you can just use the robot to grab everything for you. For this part, it can be a little tricky, but I found it easy when I just retreated back into this starting area. This little cargo container type of thing here. Also, you can shoot those ball sacks hanging above the guys, and you can get multiple kills. Like, I just killed 2 guys by doing that. So you can do that, and you can use your Boltok to get, you know, some headshots and clear out those guys. Just be aware that every time you use the robot to access this little bridge here, it's going to cause fire to come up around the area. So, you know, retreat when it does that. See, the fire came up, and I'm not even sure what the trigger was there. It might have been because I killed the last guy for that little section, but I don't even know if that's what triggered it. Maybe it's because Jack, I might have used Jack to move the bridge. I think every time you do that, it causes the fire to come up. So just keep your distance whenever you do that. And remember, you can just retreat back into that container initially. And as long as you stay pretty far back and just pick off at these guys, you know, you're going to kill them easily. There's really only one little troublesome area if you're not expecting it. And you'll have to redo the checkpoint. There's a grenadier that comes out with a shotgun very close to your position. If you're not expecting it, you know, he could potentially surprise you and kill you. But if you're watching this video, you're going to expect it. So you'll know about that. You only have to die once to know where he's at. So pick off these enemies, and I think soon after this you'll be going. Once you start going up those that little slope, that winding little slope, you'll run into like the grenadier. This game is also a little bit glitchy. I've had a crash before on at least one of the boss fights where the game, you know, froze and I had to restart it. I've gone through walls before, or pillars, I should say. I went through a pillar when trying to take cover once. The AI can be weird. Sometimes the next segment doesn't start up when it's supposed to. So the game can be kind of glitchy. But I had my skiff vehicle that you get later, got stuck inside of a mountain cliff side. And I had to restart and do several encounters over. Very fucking annoying. I went to restart previous checkpoint. It sent me back about 3 or 4 checkpoints, it seemed. So that sucked. Luckily, I was only playing on, experience mode. So yeah, this is the Grenadier. If you have any boomshot rounds left, you can just take him out pretty easily with a nice boomshot round. If it doesn't kill him, it'll take off most of his health. But just be prepared for that one asshole at the top. He's the one asshole that can surprise you. Everything else is easy. Just hang back. Pick off the guys with your Boltok or whatever you have. Now it's more of a cinematic scene. A guy's going to come out and get killed by fire. I don't think he's able to hurt you. Now maybe if you were standing next to that fire you could get burned, but I don't know if you can get there that fast. But now if you die here, you will have to redo the entire section, so be aware that juvies are going to flock, but after you kill a few of them you get a weird checkpoint. It's kind of weird where it's placed. You'll see. I left the death in to show where the checkpoint is. But yeah, you'll see. These guys come up, and I was playing kind of sloppy, grabbing shit. You know, I should have been fighting them, but... And then I was just fucking around, and I did a little retro charge with the Retro Lancer just for the fuck of it. I kind of assumed I had a checkpoint, but, I mistakenly assumed that I had a checkpoint here. So I was kind of fucking around. But turned out I didn't. See, I died. But as I died, the cutscene came on, but then it said failed. So I reload the current checkpoint. And now I'm pretty much right back at where I was when I fell through. But you see, I had to kill a few juvies to get to that checkpoint. So, if you die early, you won't get that. So just be aware of that. It's not hard or anything. I was just being sloppy. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 2.